All right. New week, new episode. This week on Chapters Over Coffee, we're discussing chapters 11 through 15, and things are starting to heat up between Saeris and Kingfisher. We also get a mistaken identity and new theories. I had to blanked what I wrote there for a minute, even though it's in front of my face. Okay, I will say that I giggled in these chapters because before I read these, and I seen those are the TikToks that I have seen with Carrion and Fisher. So when I got to that part, it fit so perfectly well with how you could imagine that the whole thing went down.
Yeah.
Now I still haven't had any reason to DNF it, and maybe we're just not there yet. So without any spoilers, what chapter made you DNF Quicksilver?
I think I have a spoiler, and I think I might have a theory on it. I don't know how I came across it. I don't know what I was doing, if it was in a Facebook group or not, but there's a character we haven't met who might have done some things to our certain Shadow Man unconsensually. Yeah.
Oh
So
no.
maybe that was it. I don't know. I'm not sure, but all I know is I'm ugh, I don't know. It's giving me Outlander flashbacks and I had to skip all that stuff. And
All right.
yeah,
Well, I guess we'll see as we get
I don't
further
know.
on. Makes me a little
Yeah,
nervous now.
I know.
Last week we ended it with Saris punching Fisher in the face for forcing her to hold the Quicksilver. And I had the theory that you said it was Madra.
Madra. Mm-hmm.
Madra possibly had Saris's father or an alchemist, but after reading these next 5 chapters, I believe she may have Fisher's real father instead.
And if she doesn't currently, she did at one point, maybe. Maybe that's where, because they said,
Uh,
he went somewhere, he got trapped when everything went still or something. I don't
he
know.
is also the
Um,
owner of Solus.
Big things are coming.
They really, really are. So let's get into it because there's a lot to unpack here. And I'm not going to lie, I struggled a little bit with some of my notes, trying to there was so much, but not a lot, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, without boring people. All right, so jumping forward, after she punches Fisher, Saris is with Everlane. And let's just say that Lane was not happy with Saris as she's lacing up her corset on her dress, wondering what Saris was thinking, punching Fisher in the face. Because according to Everlane, with Fisher being a Fey warrior, they do not react kindly to violence. After the punch, Fisher had Saris thrown over his shoulder, takes her to her room, kicking in the door and throwing her onto the bed, and snarled, "Bad human," at her. This had me giggling and
He's a
laughing
fucking
because of
animal.
the irony. The irony because he is the one, they call him the dog.
Dog.
Well, at least
Yeah.
Bellican does, and then he kind of just goes off of that. But yet, and he got treated like some. He assumed he was getting treated like a dog about the whole library scene, where he couldn't eat his food, and then Everlane stepped in. But yet he's here talking to her like she's the dog, telling her "bad human." So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of hilarious because of the irony behind it all. Um, but Everlane believed that he would have gone on a killing rampage with one right hook to his face. And then we learn a little bit about Kingfisher's past, and I was wrong that Bellican is not the father, and you were right that they have different dads but the same mom. But when Fisher
That's just the
was,
vibe it gave.
it could
That's
have
the
went
vibe
either
that
way
it
because
gave. And
now that we know how he got the title as king,
yeah.
we have more insight to that. So it wouldn't surprise me, like, if Bellican was the real father and treated him like that, because he would technically be a threat to the throne.
Yeah.
When Fisher was 10, his father was sent to Zalvarian on a mission and never returned. It was when the pathway stilled, making Bellican believe that Finran,
Yeah.
who is Fisher's father, was responsible for the Quicksilver stilling, declaring him a traitor. And this is where I believe that he might still be alive, and that I'm gonna fuck her name up every time. Madra. Madra sounds better. I don't know.
I know it does.
Still has him in Zalvarian. Fisher never believed his father was responsible. He says it was Madra. I agree. We kind of already know that. You can put two and two together on that situation from the very beginning.
Yeah.
As years passes, or a year passes, when Bellican announces his engagement to their mother, who had never met him. Bellican had made it clear that the only way to prove she wasn't a traitor to the crown was marrying him. Finran, however we want to pronounce his name.
I think Finran
was also wealthy, and Bellican needed the money. Their mother was informed to bring all her assets and money with her to the Winter Palace, and apparently he was not happy, Bellican was not happy when she showed up with Kingfisher. He wanted his own son as the heir and not Fisher, but it took their mother a while to get pregnant because it's a rare gift. He also wasn't expecting her to already have a kid tagging along with her. So that threw him for a loop.
That's what he gets for not doing his fucking research.
Yep. Totally. When she was pregnant with Everlane, he blamed Fisher for their mother not being strong enough for a male heir, and that she wasn't strong enough to survive the delivery. According to the king, everything was Fisher's fault. And let me just put this out there. The male picks the gender, not the female. So he produced the girl. Not her mother's fault. While Lane went to get breakfast, Saeris reflects on what she heard the Quicksilver said, the Anarath Moor, and how Fisher had responded wide-eyed and shocked. Then comes a knock on her door. She opened it thinking it was Everlane coming back for breakfast, but when she knelt down to find her shoe, a voice that did not belong to Lane says, "Admittedly, I do enjoy when a female kneels for me." And then they're going back and forth a little bit. Saeris is wondering why he's there in her room, but he lets her know, he wasn't allowed to eat in the library. He wasn't assigned a whole wing like Lane was. So he seen how nice her room was and decided to eat there while suffering a hangover. During their conversation, she points out that his lip is bleeding everywhere. This causes his tongue to dart out between his lips, and she gets a flash of canines, which in turn starts turning her on. So he has to let her know that the Fae have excellent sense of smell. So she tries saying that it wasn't what she was doing, but at the same time, she was making it worse by trying not to think about his tongue or his canines. So she tries to change the subject at this point and brings up why he hasn't got his lip fixed by the healers. He had plans to get it healed, but decided against it. He likes being surprised and is a fan of aggressive foreplay. So at this time, Everlane decides to pick this moment to come back and to Saeris choking on the piece of cheese that he offered her and wondering what the hell was going on. She also notes that it smells like a brothel and tells Fisher the least he could have done was wash off the smell of sex before showing up for breakfast. If she only knew.
Right?
Surprising Saeris, Kingfisher took the blame, saying it was inconsiderate of him and that he'd take his breakfast and leave, heading to the bathhouse to wash away his sins. Yeah, I really enjoyed these couple chapters just because they were kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, this then has Saeris wondering if Everlane would know it was her after he would leave, but she wasn't having any more dirty thoughts of him. She was thinking about him forcing her to hold the Quicksilver again. All right, and then we're going to jump a little bit to now they are in the library. Saeris still wants her to learn about, or Saeris wants to learn about the Quicksilver rather than the history of Ivalia. Everlane wants her to keep learning the courts for when she does travel, but Rosarius brings up that Fisher only has a week to teach her, and if she fails, Belican will punish Fisher and possibly Saeris as well. And I have to agree, like, I can see him doing both. Fisher for not doing his job, but Saeris for not being able to catch on. Saeris then uses this to her advantage to ask how they use the pathways. And I honestly did not put two and two together for this one and the chapters later on of what her plan was. Like, I didn't catch on to it at all.
I picked up on it immediately. I'm like, girl, you're going to get fucking busted. Like, somebody's going to be suspicious of you. I thought for sure Lane was going to be suspicious of her and was going to, keep an eye on her and stuff. But she definitely was not getting that.
Did not pick up on her plan later on.
No.
I didn't get that one either.
No.
Because they gave nothing away on that. Saeris then uses this to her advantage to ask how they use the pathways, wondering if they had the same or had to say the name of the place they wanted to go, but according to Rosarius, they did not, and it was common knowledge. They just need to fix their intentions on the place they wanted to go. And I think what helped her get this information is he was like doing something else. Like he was distracted by, I think he was looking at other scripts and stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
He gives an example that if they wanted to go to a place with iron ore, all they had to do was think of iron and the Quicksilver pulled them to the place with it. Although the system was known to be flawed. And I'm wondering if this is where some people got stuck.
It could be, or maybe like
through.
Maybe not just that, but there were like bad areas. Maybe they didn't always go where they were supposed to, and like they were killed. Like how they talked about, like if they did survive it being stilled, like those other clans and stuff were out there. Maybe they got a hold of them because they went to somewhere that they weren't supposed to. Like, I'm not sure.
That they didn't mean pretty much to go to.
Yeah.
So as Rosarius is giving her more examples, she uses this as her opportunity to her next question, where the pool was located in the Winter Palace. Now this I kind of caught on. But it's still, I didn't think that she would do it this quick either. Like, go searching for the place. It was situated at the bottom of the palace. Nearly every tunnel would lead her there. So this has her forming plans in her head and knowing it would be simple, but she needed to do something first. Again, this is where I had no idea what her plan was for this part. So we're going to jump again. So she's arriving at the forge and she gets distracted by Fisher. Her gaze was locked on the bead of sweat hanging from his chin. Fisher calls her out on this.
Bad in this moment.
This whole chapter. This whole chapter. She had it pretty bad. So he calls her out, letting her know that she could at least say hello before I fucking him. And he mentions that humans can lie whenever they want, and they do it all the time, but yet they are bad at it. And then another reference is kind of made about Fisher being like a dog because he shakes his hair out and like has the sweat going everywhere. So again, this makes me wonder though, does he shapeshift? Like, can he shapeshift?
Was he like a blood-sucking werewolf? Like,
That's
because
what
that's the
like
vibe I get, but they have like that blood curse and stuff, so
that
it
they
makes them seem
did.
like they're vampire. Well, yeah, they did, but it
They
seemed like they're
did.
vampire-ish. So
I got wolf. I got like a
is he
wolf
like a
type.
fucking hybrid or something?
Because there's a lot of references to him being like a dog. So to me, it would be like a wolf.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going back and forth with each other. Sarah brings up about him not using her name, but he says she's temporary and he only learns people's names who last longer than a heartbeat. She wants him to call her Saeris or nothing at all, so he jokes around calling her nothing at all. The sarcastic asshole of him.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a quote coming up here. So let me find this page. I didn't mark my pages beforehand. Okay. At this time, Fisher was already working on something in the forge using a fey bone. And he states, so I'm going to quote this: "For centuries, our kind has tried to understand how the relics that allow us to travel through the Quicksilver were made. There have been many theories over the years, but that's all they've ever been, theories. With the Quicksilver sleeping, we haven't been able to experiment or put any of those theories to test. But now that you're here," and then she, Mom. Hold on. Hey, Zip Papa. Okay, so Fisher wants her to wake the Quicksilver so he can try and bind it to something and make a relic like the one he has. And I'm curious if this pendant, because later on, we kind of learn about his father a little bit more, that he's very, very powerful. I'm wondering if his father made this pendant. And but how did his mom? The only thing I can't figure out is how his mom had the pendant if he never made it back through. Did he get forced to go through without it? Or if it was.
Yeah, I feel like somebody had some sort of like seer ability, or maybe they visited a seer and they kind of had like a hint as to what
Are
it
there
was
even
going to be.
seers in here?
I don't know yet.
I know most fantasy books have them, but
They had to have found out somehow.
yeah, because I'm so curious to how his mom knew he was going to need it. Either that or she sent something because of the fact that Belican was forcing her to marry him without even meeting. So maybe she assumed you could kind of pick out the type of guy he is. So
Yeah.
maybe she just figured, he's going to do something to Fisher. Why not protect him?
Yeah.
He's using the Fey bone, to try and fuse the Quicksilver and hoping biological material will trick the pool into thinking that the living creature passes through, or that the living creature passing through is part of the Quicksilver. During their conversation, Saeris freaks out because they weren't alone. This causes Kingfisher to prepare for battle, just to find out it was a fox hiding. There's something special about this fox, too, other than that it's rare, I believe.
It's like it can understand what it's being told, like what's being said, and just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fisher wanted to kill it because it was a pest, but Saeris didn't allow him to. And I love how he warns her that it would bite her, and she tried saying that it wouldn't bite her, and then it
As
bites
a
her
bitter. Yeah.
and would not let go until it didn't let go until Fisher said it would make a fine hat. And then when she growled at Fisher, the fox kind of let go. She tried to get him to help her first, to get the fox to release her, but he tells her it was a learning experience. And then once the fox does release her, it then hides underneath her dress, where Fisher, in my opinion, he mocked her, calling her a pretty little doll in her pretty little dress. That was like him making fun of her. I have to say, their banter, though, reminds me of like Grim and Isla from the Lightlark series, but it's better.
Yeah.
I kind of like their banter more. But that's what it like remind me of. Okay, so the two of them are still going back and forth on how she didn't want to wear the dress. She wanted to wear what she was wearing when he found her, but Fisher, being Fisher, states that she was wearing a lot of blood, and if he recalls, her intestines might have been a part of that. Again, they're going back and forth a little bit more when he uses his magic to change her clothes. He even gave her a knife strapped to her thigh. So he asks her if she needed walking through with how it works, but when she looked up at him, he was pulling his shirt over his head, and she notes all the tattoos he has on his chest. And then a little bit later, she notes all the tattoos on his back. He lets her know that Renfist is a good teacher if she needed him, but if she forgets to think like she did with the forge, then she could slice her own throat wide open with this knife. Yeah, this is kind of like, I apologize in advance. I struggled with this next section of notes because like there was a lot, but there really wasn't anything to really kind of note off of. Because it was just them attempting to use the Quicksilver that they had no luck. It took her 3 hours just to figure out how to awaken the Quicksilver. And then the particles of the bone, every time they put it down, before it even touched the Quicksilver, it would burst into flames. And then this is where things start to heat up between them. She gets distracted with Kingfisher's sweaty naked chest and all the tattoos that seem to tell a story that she wanted to know, but wouldn't give him the satisfaction of asking. So instead, she asks him to hold his pendant. She thought maybe if there was another element bonded, she'd be able to feel it. Waiting for a reply, she again thinks about how he was the most beautiful thing she's ever seen. He was strong, male, and powerful, and looking at him made her feel like she couldn't catch her breath. And at this point, I'm pretty sure he can smell her because he tells her, if you want it, come here and touch it. Yeah. She was like long gone caring what was going to happen now. So she she tries to get him to take it off instead due to the fact that he went 10 days without it. But Renfist had him locked in a room with 3-foot thick walls and behind an iron door the whole time. So how did these people get him out? Like, if you have to secure him by that much, how did the guards take him down and take him out of that room? To bring him to Belican? According to him, he's not much fun to be around without it. Saeris decides to look at it while he wears it, and things start to get heated, like really heated between them, while he's... What did I write? Okay, while he sat, I didn't put my comma. Okay, I didn't use the correct. I think
you're getting all hot and bothered just reading it.
Whew, no, no, it's because I didn't use like when I type. I don't always like comma or like break things. I kind of just like write it out, so it's a little. He is sitting, and then I kind of like switch it up as I'm like reading it. So like I write what I write, and then I just add to it. But he is sitting, and she's either between his legs or his legs are between her legs, and she's looking at the pendant when she realized...
between his legs.
Okay, that's what I thought, because then she ends up on his lap. Yeah, so I was like,
because it shows that he spread his legs for her.
Well, that's why I'm like...
So she could get closer.
So that's why I write... I'm like, I put that she was like in between his legs, and I'm like, wait a minute, she ends up on his lap. So what, she like widened her stance and just climb up? And then he closes his legs in some, or did he leave them open? So I'm like, maybe I had it wrong, but no. Okay, so he is sat. She's in between his legs, and she's looking at the pendant when she realizes it was wet with his sweat. And this is where all hope is lost with her. Because this is where her thoughts start to turn, because she could smell him. Not like smell him, but like what he smelled like.
Yeah.
Then heard their
Not the
conversation.
same as him
Him
smelling
smelling
her
her. Yeah.
want for him.
His natural scent, I guess, is a
Yeah.
better way of putting it. Their
Yeah,
conversation
you would think it's
turns.
gross.
He
Sorry.
probably just smells sweaty. Well, I think she did point that out, but it wasn't like a bad sweat smell, is what how kind of how she put it. There was other terms, but that's the way I took
They dudes must be pristine,
it.
not smell
When they're
after being in a
sweating,
sweaty forge.
apparently not. Apparently not. Their conversation turns to how different Fae are to humans. They were bigger, which we know what he was trying to imply there when he said they were bigger. Not so much height and stuff, because he also said that they were taller. Double meaning for the bigger part. Their hearts were
Yeah.
bigger by ratio, and their eyesight was superior as well as their smell. And I only say that also about the biggerness because he first asked her if she knew anything about the Fae anatomy. And then he's like,
Yeah.
well, we're bigger and taller. So bigger has a double meaning there. But their eyesight was superior as well as their smell. Their sense of taste was superior. Their hearing was very sharp. They could hear the smallest sounds at a great distance, and they can hear each other's heartbeats. So he takes her wrist and places it on his chest to feel his heartbeat, how slow and steady it was, noting that Fae hearts rarely betray them, where hers was a ball of chaos. He hears it bouncing around when she looks at him. She tries to pin it off as, like, I think it was a little bit later. Yeah, it's actually a little bit later, so I'll wait for that part. And then he brings up that he has, in his words, fucked many humans before, and that he doesn't hate them, he's just disappointed in how breakable they are. And at this point, he's imagining doing it with her, but he believes she wouldn't survive it.
Listen, he's telling her that he could break her if he fucked her the way he thought about it. The way he pictured it in his mind. He would fuck her broken.
Because humans are breakable.
Yep. Temporary.
Yep. She tries to say she wouldn't fuck him if he was the last living, but before she could finish her sentence, he stops her and said her heart was betraying her. So she tries to chalk it up where she was afraid, this is that part, but he knew that was a lie as well. So they keep going back and forth, her denying it, him making the whole situation far more worse for her, letting her know that he can smell her.
Wonder also if her heart was like beating because she's like, oh, I'm so close. Like, I'm going to be able to, like, I'm about to enact this plan. I'm about to rip this ring off his finger. And, you know, like, she's afraid of getting, like, busted.
We don't find out for, like, another 3 chapters what her whole plan was. So, like, I'm like, oh, you know, she's just going with the, like, with her feelings. I didn't realize she was trying to steal something off of her. Or off of him.
Yeah. Well, I knew on the last page of this chapter where it was like, or maybe it was the beginning of my chapter. I think it was the beginning of my chapter and stuff where she made the comment that he was going to be pissed when he realized what she did. And I was like, what did you do?
I thought it was because she left without waiting for Renfest. I thought that's what he was going to be mad about because she up and left early. She didn't stick around and wait, so that's what I thought.
There was a reason she up and left early.
Yeah, I didn't put together that she stole something. Like, I can see the plan, like, when we read about where she goes, but, like, I didn't think she stole something. Every time, okay, so I didn't, like, go full into detail, but every time he tells her that she can move, like, she asks him to, like, let her go, he always lets her go, but she chooses to stay right where she's at. She never moves. And then he gives her the option to kiss him. He said he wouldn't move a muscle. If she did, he knew that she was intrigued and knew that she was bored. And so she kisses him, and then everything to her disappeared. She notes how his lips feel incredible, and he smelled of mint, smoke, and the winter morning air that she was getting used to now being at the Winter Palace. Things start to get hot and heavy between them when Fisher stops her. So they're pretty much just making out. And her grinding on him. That's the gist of it. I didn't think I should go into full like detail on that, but nothing too exciting. But it was getting hot and heavy between them. But he stops her to let her know that he did not promise to exercise restraint if she climbed in his lap, which she was doing and grinding on him.
And she didn't even realize that she did that.
But I'm curious though. Was it part of her plan though to get in his lap like that? You would think it would be. I don't know,
like because it says I hadn't, I wasn't. Fuck, yeah. I had, I was, without even realizing I straddled him. So she fucking got into it a little too much. Like she gave into that like lust that
but
she
you would
had.
think it would fit her plan better though, like to be in his lap, like she's just going like so she could secretly take it off.
I don't know. So, I don't know what her plan specifically was, but apparently it was not getting on his lap.
Yeah. Let's see here. He also tells her that if she wants to cross that line, he will happily join her next time. So after all that, she wants him to leave, but he needs to walk her to her room. She doesn't want him to, and because Lane would string him up by the balls, she offered for him to send Renfis to take her back to her room. But before...
I'm sorry, No, I put a sticker on.
But before he dematerialized into a blur of black sand and smoke, he told her to... And I totally didn't even write all this in my notes. He told her to go get her arm checked out because, according to him, the fox has all kinds of diseases and like some type of like, or I don't know, dry skin thing or something. And I don't know.
Yeah.
A bunch of diseases, according to him.
Okay. So, we go into this next chapter. She is running from her room, running from the forge. She took something that Fisher will not be happy about. We don't find out right away exactly what it is. She has the fox tucked in her bag, who's not happy. He's yipping about all the commotion that's being made. So she's afraid that sorry, I just got a message. She's afraid that with all the noise, she's gonna be like they're gonna hear her. She yells at him to shut up. She's, running by people. She's trying not to be like noticed, like, hey, his little toy is, his little capture or person. And so every staircase that she comes across, she goes down it. She stops counting after 15 flights of stairs. And eventually she makes it down to where there's no windows. And that tells her that she's made it to the subterranean floors when she encounters soldiers. By that point, she hadn't encountered anybody until the soldiers. So she knew she had to be like getting close. She can also feel the Quicksilver pulling her towards it, like it's tugging, like telling her that she's getting closer, she's going in the right direction. And she has a brief moment where she's not sure what she's going to do and asks herself that question when she hears the silver talking to her and saying, "The other way, another way, come." So she thinks briefly about Fisher and how the thought of him leaving didn't exactly make her happy, that because like he annoyed her. And the thought of not sharing the forge with him made her ribcage tight. But then she had like a moment of clarity, like, why the fuck do I care? I'm not staying, I'm leaving, so it doesn't really matter how he feels, how, any of that. So she finally goes to make a move, and then, of course, another group of guards turns the corner, and so she hides in the alcove, trying her hardest to blend in, and then once it's clear, she makes her move and takes off. And again, the silver starts talking to her, repeating ahead, this way, until she made it to a door that looked innocuous enough. And I don't know why it's described like that, because even the door to the Hall of Mirrors in Madra's palace was a big innocuous door description. So she wastes no time in entering to the room, and it continues to speak to her. And let's see. So when she gets in, she's like, this other tunnel ceiling's not as high, but she says that she finds herself standing in a vast, high-ceiling tavern, torches burned in sconces mounted to the dripping walls, throwing light out in all directions, which was a blessing. Statues of ancient fae and other strange creatures 20 feet tall stood around an enormous pool at the very center of the cavern. The air felt heavy, too thick to draw down into her lungs as she slowed to catch her breath. Then it says that there was a sound, a constant ringing, the pitch so high that I couldn't actually hear it. It was as though I could feel it rattling at my eardrums. Even the fox didn't like it. And so then it starts saying, "Come be with us. We won't hurt you." And so she starts to like fully take in the pool as a bead of sweat broke out on her brow. We learn that this pool, which we know was big enough to like let armies go through it, he had it, fashioned to where it's that large. It's 40 feet wide, 15 feet across, and it made Madra's pool look like a puddle in comparison. So she makes it halfway to the pool. Before she realized what was going on, like it's pulling her. She does not realize that she's like started walking in that direction, just like in Madra's palace, where she was kind of like distracted by it, and all of a sudden her footsteps were like taking her that way. So it keeps nudging her. It's speaking to her to come with them. And, the fox is growing more and more anxious. It wants out. So she lets it go and watches it run off. And then she realizes, like, he's not built for heat. She didn't even think how, she would feed it, get it enough water, shit like that. So, once again, the Silver's talking to her, and it says the voices were insistent. The pull the Quicksilver exerted on me intensified, like there were physical hands shoving me, pushing me, pulling me, urging me to step into the pool, and I wanted to. I'd give it what it wanted, but there was one thing I needed to do first. Yesterday, when Kingfisher had forced me to activate that Quicksilver, he'd said it was a test. One I'd passed. I had no idea if he had set me that test or if the Quicksilver itself had, but there had been no pain when I'd activated the silver earlier, only a key turning in my mind, a lock popping undone, a stream of energy invited to flow. So she's wondering, is it going to be the same type of test? Is she going to have to pass another test? So she speaks to it. She tells it to wake up. Immediately, it's there. It's, 1 second it's solid. The next, it's described as a shining banner of liquid. And then there's a loud hum that fills her ears, an unpleasant sound, but she finds herself mesmerized by it. And once again, it's speaking, and it's, "Come join us, Saeris, come." So she thought she would enter the pool and everything would be okay. But where would she want to go? So then her foot is hovering about an inch above the pool when a wind howls through the cavern, and before she could take a step, she's forced backwards, landing on her hip. fucking here comes Fisher out from the shadows, pissed as fuck and ready to collect. Like, he is fucking angry. So,
Yep.
of course, he smarts off, like, leaving without a goodbye, you know. She says she doesn't owe him a goodbye. She doesn't owe him anything. So he counters with how she owes him her life. Honestly, she really fucking does. And she doesn't want to be grateful for it because she just wants to be this hard ass who has, taken care of herself and everything.
Who just wants to get, pretty much, she
Um,
just wants to get back to her brother, even though he really
yep,
truly did save her life. If it wasn't for him, she'd be dead and she wouldn't be able
yep.
to get back to Hayden.
Um, So they fight back and forth. She's saying she's leaving, and he can't stop her. He says he can. He calls her a lying little thief. He knows she took the ring. So they continue to go back and forth. When she says she needed it to get back home, he tells her she would have died if she stepped into it. The ring isn't a relic. She thought it protected him going through the pool, but it didn't. He tells her she needs to forget going home, but she can't because they are her family. After more back and forth, he tells her she can get one. He's going to go through the silver, but she has to choose if it's going to be Hayden or Elroy. She argues she needs both, but he can only do one and he cannot make 2 trips in one day. So, of course, she chooses Hayden. He tells her to close it after he goes through and then wait an hour and open it back up. They make a blood oath. And during the blood oath, he goes, he says, I go and I try to get your brother. You help me and assist me in any way I ask you to, and you do as you're told. You agree to this pact. She nodded. Yes. You understand that this is a blood oath and you will be bound by this oath until death. Yes, gods, I understand. I agree. Just get on with it. And then she's cut off, which I think is hilarious because that comes back to bite her in the ass in the next fucking chapter.
Yep.
He tells her that he needs something of Hayden's to find him. She doesn't have anything, so he kind of like sniffs out the whole bloodline and everything. He mentions that she has to close it off because if one pool is open, they're open everywhere, and so feeders can get through, and so they can come through it. If she doesn't close it, we don't exactly learn what the feeders are. She asks, but he just says that she doesn't want to know.
Probably some
So
type of creature.
that's what I wondered, if maybe like people weren't like maybe they didn't get the blood curse taken off, or maybe they were just kind of so used to it that they kept doing it. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Sitting there in the quiet, she doesn't know how much time is passing. When she starts to hear clicking in the distance, I'm like, fuck, there's
Oh.
the feeder that's like hiding in this tunnel.
I didn't think the
But
feeder. I just thought maybe somebody, like a guard or something, was coming.
nah, I immediately thought of like some type of creature. But of course, the fox comes back into view. He wants to curl up in her lap. He wants to keep warm. So she names him Onyx. An hour passes and she opens the silver. They come back through. He drops the body and says to quickly get the pendant. And then he gathers himself and tells her to close the gate. And he then tells her that she better be happy because he's never doing that again. For a brief moment, she's excited to have Hayden until she realizes it was actually Carrion fucking Swift that he brought back through the Quicksilver.
The
Fucking
TikToks.
Carrion.
The TikToks for this like scene in this book are so hilarious. Of how their like conversation went.
So now shit's breaking loose. She's pissed. He's like, I'm not fucking doing this again. He says that he tracked her bloodline. It led right to him. Well, obviously it led to him for other fucking reasons because they don't fucking bathe over there. And so her fucking
How much
stench was
time?
all over him.
And like how much time has passed?
Unless
Okay.
it's like,
But wait a minute. He
unless
lives
it's
in the
like
richer
their
inn,
sense.
though.
I don't fucking know. Um, but it led to him. He said that he was Hayden. She asked if he had him pinned to the wall with a sword when he asked him, but he said no. I had him in a headlock.
I'm like, that's
Uh,
better.
yeah. So then he's like, you remember where the gate is? And he goes through all the shit that he had to go through to get out of the palace, make his way to the Silver City, then get back and get through the palace to get back to the pool, all in an hour. And then asks if that'll do. She obviously says no, but he says that their deal stands, that they're getting out of there. She refuses to go to her rooms, and he tells her that that's not where they're going. So they are running through the tunnels when they get to an area, and he tells her to stay there and don't make a sound. She obeys. She can't even fucking speak. Like, she literally can't do anything. Like, she
all
was
because
compelled.
all because
All
of
because of the
the
blood
blood.
oath. But it was like she was compelled. And I know you didn't watch the Vampire Diaries, but it kind of reminded me of when Elena turned into a vampire and she had a sire bond to Damon because it was his blood that was used to like change her. So when he was like, no, you don't need, because they would feed on animal blood like squirrels, shit like that, you know? And he was like, you don't need animal blood, like you need like a blood bag. So every time Stefan would give her a squirrel, she would puke it back up because Damon said, you don't need animal blood. You need a blood bag. So she was able to handle like human blood and she couldn't do the animal blood because Damon said, you don't need it. So it was like she was listening to what he was saying. So she had to go along with that. And so this is kind of like what that reminded me of. Nerd moment. Um, anyways, so he makes his way back. Oh, so when he left them, he was going to find Renfis and go to a healer. And he comes back. He visited the healer, could not find Renfis, but left him a note. And he takes off, but she doesn't. And when he tells her to come, then she's able to do as he says. He also says that she could speak, but she's not allowed to complain. So she's not even allowed to fucking do that, which I think is shit.
He has her right where he needs her.
He does, yeah, because she has to obey. Like anything that's helping him, she has to go along with it. So he tells her that she made the blood oath, she's bound by it, and she's coming with him. And I thought this was funny. Okay. It says, I swore I'd help the Evelian Fae figure out how to use the Quicksilver. He wagged a finger at me. Think again. What did I say to you when I asked you if you agreed to the pact? You said you'd go and get my brother, and in return, I would help create relics for Evelia. He pushed past me out of the stall, heading back to the tack room. I said, verbatim, I go and I try to get your brother. You help me and assist me in any way I ask you to, and you do as you're told. You agree to this pact? To which you replied, yes, gods, I agreed. Just get on with it. She said, but we both know that's not what I meant. I didn't mean I'd go traipsing off into the unknown with you in the middle of the night. So, they have theirs. She has to go with him. She's pissed, thinks, says that he tricked her, but, he says, devil's in the details, gotta pay attention to the fine print, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'd be fucking pissed too.
But Carrion of all people.
Yeah. So, also in this, while they're at the stables, they're like getting suited up, to leave. She's experiencing the feeling of snow for the first time. Like it's falling, it's hitting her skin, and she thinks back to like how her life was consumed by the need for water. People would fight for a mouthful of it. They would die from the lack of it. You had to be willing to survive like, or be willing to die for it to survive. And in Evelia, it just fell from the sky as if it was nothing else. So she's looking up at the sky. She notices stars. She asks what they are. He tells her, and he says that there are billions of them, and that she thinks about how like they're like planets up there, suns, different things like that. And she thinks about how like Silver City is just like up there in the stars somewhere. He tells her that the Quicksilver closes the gap. You can travel to the realms that orbit those stars. And then he tells her to get on the fucking horse. And so she's talking about how they have to wait for Ren. And that's when he tells her, like, we have a spot for situations like this. She's freezing. He gives her a large cloak to wear. And he tells her not to yank on the reins of her horse. In the audiobook, the horse's name is Aida. But she'll just know how to follow. She's not going to need any direction from her. And then they bicker about the fox, about Onyx, and how he needs to run next to them, not be carried. She wants him to worry about his cargo and not her, because carrying will cause issues for him when he wakes up. So he talks about how, well, why don't we just, leave him behind? We'll just leave him here. She doesn't want to, because she knows that she doesn't want Belican to kill him once he finds out, like, you stole his alchemist and everything. And so, yeah. Here we are.
I go.
Yep. That's all I had, so.
Okay. So during their ride to wherever they were going. Wait, what?
I'm glad I'm not the only one who has moments left.
Well, apparently I was hitting some buttons because I put during their ride to wherever finishing they were going.
Fuck.
Yeah, don't ask. Okay, so wherever they were going, Saeris was fuming at Carrion's unconscious body. She believed he deserved every injury that he obtained for lying to Fisher. The further they walked, Saeris kept hearing what sounded like screams. Fisher said it was just the shades, or echoes, what remains of a creature after it dies in distress, so she compared it more like ghosts. He never heard that term. They only shades or echoes. But they scream because they are reliving their last moments. He does offer to give her temporary eyesight to see how they, like, pretty much how they were dying, but she refused because she actually wanted to sleep at night and not have to see people dying over and over again.
Yeah.
I think the noises were enough. And I love how after a while, if Fisher's horse got too close to her horse, the horse would snap its teeth at Carrion, trying to, like, bite his face. So she had to keep that from happening. With half an hour left into the ride, Saeris was sore, and Fisher offers to kiss all her aches and pains once they get to camp. He's been told that his tongue has healing properties. Yeah. Saeris uses this to bring up him offering when she was able to steal. Brings up about him offering when she was able to steal something so precious to him, but the last time he let her get close. He knew the whole time of her plan, because he knew from the moment that she walked in with the bag that she was up to something. He does admit that he kind of peeked at what was inside of her bag when she wasn't paying attention. So, like, he knew that she had supplies in there. So he kind of just let her continue her plan before he caught her. So they go back and forth, stating that he knew exactly why or what she was doing, and her trying to tell him that he was lying. We then learn, out of all the names in this book, his horse's name is Bill. why I find that funny, but like out of all the like the names, like the different types of names, you have her brother named
Yep.
Hayden. Okay, Hayden's kind of normal. You could kind of say Carrion's kind of normal-ish, a little different, but
Oh,
kind of normal-ish. But everything else, you
it's like
have the other horse's name,
Aida. But it's also
Aida.
like SpongeBob. You have SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, Gary. And
Yeah.
Patrick's got a normal name, but Gary.
Yes, but his horse's name is Bill, of all names.
I listened to this chapter, um, and I fucking died laughing when
That's
he
okay.
called his horse Bill. I
I
was
named
like,
my
the fuck?
horse on Zelda. I have Lucifer, Onyx, Steve, Goldie. I can't. I guess I can't say
Fucking
anything.
Steve.
On
Fucking
Palia,
Steve.
my chicken's name is Betty, Marley, and Petrie. Although it tried telling
I
me Petrie
mean,
was profanity because there was a glitch. I'm like, but you
oh,
name them,
geez.
they're they're not called chickens, they're called peckies. I'm like, you're telling me Petrie is a profanity, but yet you name the chickens peckies? I think peckies is worse than Petrie. All right, back on track now. Later on, they arrived at a two-story run-down stone building, which turned out to be a pub, or what she considered a pub. They go in. Okay, sorry, skipping ahead. When they went to hand over the horses to the stable hand, he wanted to buy onyx from Saeris, stating that he was rare because they never see the black on the tips of the ears or tail anymore. So there's something significantly special about onyx, I believe.
Yeah.
I think definitely going to play a bigger part later on. She turns his offer down even after he raised up, I'm assuming, the price or whatever he was offering for the fox. The stable hand then asks if Carrion was for sale. I honestly thought, I'm like, oh, maybe he's interested in Carrion. Nope, he's got a wife. The stable hands has a wife. But Fisher, being Fisher, asked him what his best offer was because he didn't want Carrion anymore. Saeris had to step in and say no. After letting the guy know the human wasn't for sale, Kingfisher even went as far as letting him know that Carrion wasn't to be harmed. He did it in a threatening way with his hand on the hilt of his sword, so that way the guy knew he was meaning business. So inside of the pub, Saeris takes notes of all the different types of creatures. When fairies flew near her and pulls her hair, Fisher warns her that they were drunk and could get mean. But Saeris threatened them, not knowing they speak common fae, so one bit her. So they get a table and they're sitting down. The two of them start talking when Fisher pours the bright green liquor that he had ordered on her bite, and that she brings up that he enjoyed that. And then I have a quote. Yeah, because she states that she goes, "You're sick. You enjoyed that. What kind of male likes hurting people?" But he lets her know, "I don't enjoy hurting people. I don't like it at all. But that doesn't mean it isn't necessary. To avoid far more serious pain, sometimes we have to endure a little sting. Sometimes some of us have to inflict it. You say it so mockingly, but I do care about your well-being. You're important. Without you, I can't end this war or protect my people. I have to keep you safe so I can accomplish my goals. So yes, I'll hurt you if that means I keep you safe. I'll force you to follow me to the ends of this realm because that is the only way I can make sure you stay alive. Now drink your beer." Thought that was like very important that he had to tell her that. So while they're drinking their beers, Saeris asked Fishers where he was taking her. They were going to a place that he was born, a place called Kalish. And then we get a little more insight on Belican and Kingfisher's father's past. His father had seen what Belican was planning before he murdered the royal family and took the crown for himself. His father was powerful and warded his land so Belican and his supporters could not cross into their land. So that makes me think that maybe his father was the one that made the pendants.
Yeah.
If he's able to
Makes
make
sense.
wards, then he's able to possibly make these little relics for people to pass through. So Belican can go to the borders of Kalish but cannot enter as long as Fisher is alive and carries his father's line. We also learn that Kalish is an active war zone, and for her to survive, she needs to stay very close. And then a little bit, some time has passed, and Ren finally shows up, telling Fisher that he was officially fucked because Everlane was spitting mad. Renfis then chews him out for taking Belican's alchemist, or what they believe to be an alchemist, and the sword. It didn't state what sword he took, but I'm assuming it was Solus. Because then we find out that it was his father's sword, and he states that he should never have that sword. And I didn't put this together back early on chapters. How was Belican able to touch the sword?
I don't know. I wondered the same thing. But
I
the
didn't
fact
put two
that
and two together at first until I read this.
the fact that the sword though was in the Silver City in Madras Palace does support the fact that his father was there, if that was his father's sword.
Yes, and then it says Belican used this sword to kill the royal family. Or actually, I don't know if it was Solus itself. It just said that the last time he used a sword with note, he murdered the royal family with it. So how many swords? Because we have Nemarelli?
Yeah, Nemarel.
Nemarel, and then we have Solus. So how many other swords are like those two?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm still stumped on how Belican can touch that sword, because it's supposed to, if anybody who touches it's supposed to melt their hands off. Because that's why
look at what it did to her.
Not Nemarel burned her hands.
Yeah.
But Solus did not. She was able to pull out Solus. But he is bound to Nemarel. We did find that out. He's somehow bound to it. So he's the owner of it. So he can be the only one that touches it. But how was she able to touch Solus? But how was Belican able to touch Solus? If it's supposed to melt your hands off. So that's kind of a mystery right now.
Oh, so it says, because it says the last time he laid his hands on a sword of note. I wonder if a sword of note is a relic, like Solus and Nemarel, something along those lines.
See, that's what I'm saying.
He used it to murder the true
family.
king in the whole fucking Dianthus line, who is the heir. Right. The heir that is presumed to still be out there.
In Zilbarian somewhere. But yeah, so that's why I say I don't know if it was, we know he had Solus because they had to take the sword back with her because they're trying to figure out how she was able to touch it. And so we know that he took it.
What if it's her brother?
Hayden? No, because he has too much features like his dad. It was stated that he has features of the mom and dad, but it never stated what features she took after her parents. In the
first book. Carrying.
Because it was just stated that Hayden has light eyes or light hair, brown eyes. She has dark hair, blue eyes, which is which isn't common, or it's very rare or something. What did it say? In Zilbarian. I gotta find it. I don't know exactly where it was. Dark hair and blue eyes weren't common in the Silver City. Because then she stated that the Guardian would remember her. So that's what it makes me think that it's more her, because he has features of her parents. She does not, or it wasn't stated that she took after anything of her family.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a possible another sword out there if it wasn't Solus that he used. But did his father go to Zilvarian before he murdered the royal family, or was it after? Because if it was after, then he wouldn't have used Solus. It was a whole completely different sword. But I can't see him
Yeah, well,
taking. I can't see
no,
him
I see.
taking
I don't think
Solus
it was.
from. I don't believe it's Solus
I don't
because.
know because it just says the last time he laid his hands on a sword of note.
Yeah.
That's why I think there's another one
Well, the sword would
out
have went
there.
with
I
his
don't
father
think it was.
anyways.
Yeah, because
For for
yeah, it would have been.
whatever,
It's a different
Madra,
sword.
whatever
Yeah,
her
it's
name
not. It
is.
wasn't Solace and it wasn't Nimrel, so it was definitely something else.
Okay, so we know there's another sword, which we do learn later on that because Renfis tells him that he should have just left him have it because it would have lost something in it. I think like the magic or whatever, and just
Yeah.
he could add it to his collection. But the two of them go back and forth for a little bit, not realizing that they were drawing attention to them. Everyone in the pub realized Ren was there, calling him Renfis Orithian,
Yeah.
Renfis Bloodsworn, and Renfis of the Silver Lakes. Now, what's the difference between Silver Lakes and Silver City?
I don't know.
And then that's when they realized because Kishers, oh God, Kingfisher's hood fell back that he was also there. Um, and they were all saying like his name and that he has returned. So this causes them to get up and go. So as they were leaving, they were stopped by a Fey warrior. Saeris was thinking the worst, like that he was gonna fight him or try to like kill him or something. But he recognized Fisher. Fisher had tried to say that he had the wrong person, but the warrior knew. Fisher had fought with the warrior's cousin. So Fisher again tries to say he wasn't that man anymore, but he was honored when more and more people brought up the different town. Oh wait, that he was honored when. Okay, this should have been two separate things. And then more and more people brought up like the different towns that he had saved or like the battles he was in, and he didn't like that at all, like being like recognized and honored. But before storming out of the pub, he let everyone know that that person no longer existed. He was not who everybody remembered him as. And Saeris only knew him as a foul-mouthed bastard, and to everyone there, he was like their god.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where we stop.
Ooh. Shadowgate.
But I am convinced, though, that either his father is still alive or I'm going to just keep calling her Madra. Madra killed him and took his sword.
Yeah.
Or he died
We'll find
in
out.
the cells.
Yeah.
I can't see him surviving that long. But then again, I don't know. Because Fae life is different. But thank you for watching or listening to this week's episode, and join us next week where we do chapters 16 through 20.